Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. So today yet another workshop, and today we're gonna talk about level design once again and narrative approach. And I worked this presentation with Jean Romaric. So hi to Jean Romaric. I know it's an other Jean. You're gonna have to adapt to that. We have a
Lot
lot
of
of
Jean
them
in the
in
sandbox.
the sandbox. It's a thing, but in any case, we're working well together, so at least it's a good thing. It's a good thing. All right, so let's see. The idea behind this workshop is to try and see how to, because we talked about it before, is how to create basic maps, some volumes, some functionalities, thinking about metrics, gameplay ingredients, all this aspect, which is obviously very important, very interesting. But if you don't have a goal in your map that is flavored by the whole narrative, the whole world around you, it's not gonna be the best game ever. It's gonna be a functional game, but it's not gonna be something apart. You take a simple roguelite, the very first one to came out. It was very simple, but it was brand new thanks to the whole gameplay evolution. But now today you have games what's the name of this game again? Jean-Romaric, do you remember with the mythologic um, story behind it?
Is it Hades?
Yeah, exactly. You just fixed your microphone right in time, Becky. That's cool.
It keeps turning on and off, and I don't know why.
All
So,
right. Well, at least you saved my moment, so that's cool.
yeah, I love Hades. It's amazing.
Yeah. So that's the whole point. It's basically you can create a whole world around a game. And for instance, Jean-Romaric within the sandbox is helping us doing that for each and every individual experience that we're doing. So that's cool. And in throughout this workshop, we want to try and see how we can break down the creative flow, the iterative aspect that result in different proposition for every experience. And then, of course, we're gonna finish with some Q&A all together. So this presentation should last around 1 hour as usual, but as always, we'll see how it goes. Let's dive into it. We wanted to start with a very clear and simple layout to try and explain to you in a simplified way how if level design and narrative design were to work together, only both of them, how it would work. So with Jean-Marc, we settled down together, we took what we have on the side, and then there we go. This is what we have. So first of all, you're gonna have an idea, basically, a pitch from the creative team. It can be from the creative director if you are in a big structure, or it can be just, you or Jean-Marc and I. We definitely can have a pitch, an idea. That's what we did for today. You're going to have a whole example around that. But with that being said, you're going to break down this pitch into two aspects, the narrative design and the level design. Both of those core will work on their side about iteration around this idea. And the whole point is try and loop those iteration between level design and narrative design. The idea is to confront, in a way, the whole vision, the narrative vision and the level design vision, in order to have and break down to 1 to X amount of proposition, and those proposition then will get back to the creative team that will validate the whole thing. In this case, the creative team is Jean-Marc and I, so it's not that big of a deal. But in bigger structure, that's basically how it works. Let's continue. So the idea here is that we wanted to create a small urban experience where the player starts a new job and he's having trouble with it. It was like the large approach about what we were doing. It's basically the pitch that we gave to ourselves to move forward in the proposition for today. Um, with that, Jean-Romaric was kind enough to break down the whole thing into different keywords and intention. So not very serious, light tone, funny, contemporary. Try and keep it simple, and on top of that, respect the metaverse diversity and approach on what we are doing at the Sandbox, because it's part of the bigger guidelines that surround everything that we're doing within the Sandbox. Then I'm gonna give the talk to Jean Romaric for him to talk a little bit more about his approach about the narrative iteration. So go ahead.
Yeah, so hi everybody. Now I have the intention and a request from the creative direction. I'm able to create potential pitches. It's simple ideas, one line, two line of what can be the story of the experience. The narrative designer or the narrative design team provide at least 3 ideas. It's a minimum for me, I think, but you can go up to 10 or more, but often you will have pitches with 1 or 2 elements, 3 elements, depending of the type of the experience you want. So for example, in this slide, I have 3 different pitches: a small contemporary tone. The player starts his job as a window washer, but he faces a lack of window cleaning products. The second approach is a small contemporary tone is hosting a fantastic festival, but our hero is on duty to his first job as a postman, so he can't reach the festival. And the last one is in a small contemporary tone. The player starts as an assassin's task. He has to eliminate people and complete contracts. So now I have these 3 approach. I will be able to reach the creative director with that, and okay, which one is the best one to create our experience? Can you go to the next slide, please? So we decide with the creative director. Finally, the best pitch for us is a small contemporary tone is hosting a fantastic festival, but he was on duty, started his job as a postman. Because the third one is not good because it's an assassin, so it's not good. It's not respecting the constraints, and the lack of window. We can make a kind of window washer game. So we prefer the second one. And when I have the second one validated by the creative director, I will be able to extend my story. So the final story I stand. So the final one is Metacity is a small contemporary tone hosting a metaverse festival because we want the metaverse diversity inside the experience. The player is on duty to his first job as a postman, which is cool because like that we can have some different areas. You will see that we can have some different areas and back and forth in the different areas, and a lot of obstacles inside the experience. He won't be able to party until he's finished his days off, which is normal. Of course, many adventures are going to happen to him. So like that, you can see the different step between just a request and the final story. We can write an extension of the story with many pages of writing, but it's not the purpose here because we want to keep it simple and to work with the level designer to have this back and forth between level design and narrative design, because we are working perfectly together. So on the narrative side, we are providing some mood boards, sometimes with artists, but we can provide this kind of slide alone. So of course we speak about Postman. So first, the movie with Kevin Costner will be a good reference. After that, we have another reference based on games. So what are the games with Postman inside? So we have the Simus Paperboy and the The Postman patch, Game Boy Advance, and other old console game, which is more an adventure games. So we talked together with GB, and the point is we can't really make a paperboy game. It's not the idea of the creative concept. So we can focus on an adventure game, of course, in 3D because you are in the sandbox. When I think about my story, I want to have cool NPCs inside the experience. But for this workshop, we didn't want to create new voxel assets. So we based our experience on existing assets. But I have in mind different kind of NPCs to place inside the experience. For example, a grumpy guy, an old grumpy guy who are not happy in his life, and the postman chief with a cool uniform. And because we are in the metaverse, we can have some references to known people, like for example Sherlock Holmes. Why not Sherlock Holmes inside our experience? In fact. And of course, we have an environment. We can provide a lot of mood boards about what kind of building we want or areas we want inside the experience. I just put one slide with the post office, but you can create many mood boards depending of what you want inside the experience. It's really important to have these mood boards for the level designer to understand what we have in mind on the narrative side and what the level designer can find in terms of assets or for the different places inside the experience.
All right, thank you, Jean-Ro. So yeah, we saw some mood boards example about the narrative aspect, and now we're gonna see some example about mood boards for the level design aspect. So keep in mind that what we are talking about, if you refer to the first layout that we showed you earlier, it's basically the process of iteration, you know? Jean-Maverick will think about some stuff, I will think about some stuff. One is oriented on narrative, the other on level. And basically we are taking advantage of those mood board in order to create a cohesion between all of that in order to create a proposition. So on my side, instead of looking at something online specifically, I wanted to see what we had already in the library. I was like, all right, I will put myself as someone that is just starting the sandbox, the game maker. Sorry, maybe some of you, for some of you, it's the case. And I wanted to see like, okay, what can I do with just what we have in the game maker? So with that being said, I went to see town elements. We have buildings, houses, buildings that represent like groceries, bank, whatever, and then also thinking about the pitch itself, which was indeed the post office thingy. And as you can see, we have something very similar to what we saw in the mood boards of Jean-Romaric. And then in order to add up some more functionality in my elements and some diversity within my volumes, I also wanted to have a mood board around the colorimetry, which one being the grass, another one being the sideways, and another one being the street, in order to basically cut the whole layout into different environments. So usually it really depends how you want to do that, but you're gonna start and make 2D layout very simple. On my side, I tend to use paper because it's simple, efficient. You should always have like pen and paper. It's the first thing you need to have if you want to do some video games. Honestly, it's not even a computer, but if you prefer using different software such as Visio, 3D Sketch, you name it, you are completely allowed to do that. But the point here is not to make a final level, is to try and make as much proposition as possible. That's what you want to aim for. Because with all your proposition and all Jean-Marie proposition, you can put that all together and try to take the best ideas of each individual proposition in order to have one clear proposition and another proposition, etc., etc. So here I went with something quite simple. As you can see, it's barely understandable, but at least I can understand it. We have here in the middle the road. The road is breaking down the town. So you have the main road going down. You have like a roundabout, and then I wanted to have the post office being central, so I put it there. And then I knew that my gameplay would be around having objectives that will surround the post office. So I added up some landmarks to make sure that we are going around the post office. So I went through that, and then usually I tend to go quickly into the game maker in order to try my volumes. Keep in mind that this is almost a final version that you see here, because I don't have like screenshot made throughout times, but I went really fast on that one. But that's pretty much it. Here you have the festival. It could need some more dressing and some more details. Bear with me, but yeah, you have the idea. Here you have a house for the Grumpy Paps. You might not understand it right now, but it will be clear in like 5 minutes, because we're going to explain to you where we went with the whole aspect of the quests and the narrative. So you have the House of Grumpy Pap, which is one of the landmark. You have the post office and the restaurant, another landmark. And then here we have a final breakdown, top view of everything that is on the level, and we have our final story that will come right after and that we will explain to you. But it's very important to try and really organize your level around the story. All right, so let's dive into the spreadsheet. I'm gonna open it. Let's see how I can do that. Let's see here. All right. JR, would you like to maybe start with that, or do you want me to start talking about it? Maybe you should start, and then we'll go into the game maker, and we'll see how we can.
Yeah. I just want to explain the format of this kind of template of this kind of document. Okay, you have here an example of what we are using internally at the Sandbox when we want to create all the textual content like dialogues and also quests, because it's really important to centralize all this kind of text to not lose anything. So basically, we have a city. People inside the city, and we want to people talking. It's really important to understand that because the majority of the characters must serve the purpose, serve the story and the level design. That's why it's important to have this kind of dialogue. It's not cool for player to meet someone inside an experience and the personage just ignoring you. Okay, he didn't talk to me. It's not good. And if you have mass of people, it could be great to altern one character talking, another one not, etc., etc. So
really quick, I'm gonna show as an example, since right now we don't have any NPCs basically with dialogues. I'm gonna show how it feels like. You go to someone and nothing is happening. So you have some people, but it feels like they are robots. They are not really alive, you know. So it's not something you want to look for. Obviously, you have the logic of the quest that is working, but if you have no NPC around with no what we call barks whatsoever, it's gonna feel weird. So definitely you want to have as many, like for instance, if you go to the mascot of the restaurant, I made him as an example. If you go near him, you have a little bark saying, oh yeah, come here and eat the best food in town. So just to give you an idea, it feels more alive. Sorry, so
Exactly.
you can continue.
Yeah, and you can also have some sign panel, etc. Item with a dialogue display on it to explain things, to explain the context, because it's really important for the player to understand where is he and what he need to do inside the experience. So for all the contents, we use speaker. It just only like GB show you just right now, just a text display on the NPC with a flavor text on it for the chronicle, for example. And for all the quests, we use askers to display dialogue and answers, player answers.
So it's not that, it's here asker. It's just right there. But it should be something that you know already. We talked about it in previous workshop, but it's not a bad thing to remind it. So that's the idea. Right. So maybe you'd like to talk about how we organize the quest. Shall we start with the bottom line, or do you want to start with the very beginning of it here?
No. I think you can start with the quest titles and what are the quests, in fact, and after that we will be able to explain which dialogue we place for each one.
Okay. So yeah, here you have the quest titles. In the Game Maker, it's represented in the rules, as you have here. So we have 7 here, so we have 7 here. And some of them, I already put it there as placeholder. It's something that you really should know about. It's placeholder. It's you just put something out there. It might not be the definitive props or text or whatever, but at least it's there, and at some point you're gonna have to change it. Here it's exactly what's happening. I worked on the quest itself. I didn't have the text at that time, so I just created my my quest with my title, and I just put a description. But now, if I go into my spreadsheet that Jean-Romaric was nice enough to to fill in, we have go to the post office, so this should be all right. And then I do have a description. And this description is in black. Does it mean I don't have to change it? Or
No, you can you can change. It's not. I put all in black because we have a lot of different colors when we are working on this kind of document.
All right. Yeah. Sure. No worries. So forget about the red color. My bad. All right. So in that case, there we go. I just select my text, go back into the Game Maker, and boom. This is basically how you make video games. It's copy and paste all the time. So yeah, you're gonna want to do all of that because at least you know that this is the proper narrative that is going to be in your level, that it's validated by the narrative, it's validated by the creative direction. So all good, it's all fine. You almost don't have to think about it, almost. Of course, you're gonna want to read it, make sure proofreading, etc., etc. But the idea is that it's the responsibility of the narrative designer. You should not have to impose your vision about that because it's not your work. It's very important to make this difference. It's very, very important. Of course, if you have some suggestion and all, you are completely open to do that. Otherwise, it's not your job. You have to respect other people's job. So here I'm not even asking myself, this is gonna be the name of all of it, and that's it. And I'm gonna do that for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all of them. And then when I'm done with the quest, I'm gonna dive into the breakdown of the quest. Maybe I'm gonna give you back the
Yes.
talk here about that.
Yes. Yes. So when we have quests, we use askers to create a discussion between the player and the NPC. For example, at the quest 2, we use the chief postman. We have him in the creative design, so we keep her, and we find a cool asset to represent her inside the game maker. But Becky is right. You can also find cool assets inside the marketplace to create your experiences, which should be cool because you can find a lot of cool assets and NFTs. For the chief postman, we use archaeologist Mary. It's not exactly a postman, but the uniform is great. So it matches the idea. And for her, we just would like to have a discussion to introduce the player to the universe. What is the job of postman? And to just pose the tone, to have the tonality of the experience. So the chief postman welcome you, explain what you are doing here. So you are now a member of the MMS, the MetaCity mail service, and you have to do things, of course, because it's your job. So it's a basic quest. You have to gather later inside the experience because it's your job, and there is a logic behind that. And maybe I can let you explain the logic behind the quest.
Yeah, so basically here, I talked about it before. I think it was for the parkour race map. Basically, I reused the technique of states. So in order to make sure that I'm clear in my mind about where I am throughout the time in my level, I created different states represented by those poles. Here you have the first state, second one, third one, fourth one. I guess I think you get it. Then I'm using a clay ball as how to say that, like as a broadcaster of a message. It will centralize all the message, and then this interaction here will send a message to my first state because those one are off at the moment. And on my first poll here, we have an asker with the post office manager, which is actually now chief postman. This is the thing I need to change. So for instance, I know now that the name of the asset should be chief postman. And then I have my first question, so let's go for it. Then I have, oh, there you are, good, seems punctual. So let's take that. And there we go, we have our question. Then I'm gonna need some answer for my player. So hi, I'm doing my best. Response, and I don't have another one it seems, so I'm just gonna leave it blank. And all my logic should be done already, but I just want to double check, and I see this one will be useless, so I'm just gonna put A2. But A1 is gonna be quest 1 done. That will move forward to my next asker. That will move forward to my next part of the dialogue in my asker. So it's your first day. And then that's basically what you want to do. Once all your logic is done, you want to make the integration of the narrative design, and it's your job to do so. Depending on your pipeline, depending on some companies, it often happens that narrative designer will take care of that job, but in the sandbox, this is how we work. Narrative design is preparing all the documentation, and as level designer, we keep our hand in the game maker. That's how we do it. So yeah, as you can see here, we have, so like I said, 7 quests. We're gonna have 3 main characters that will have a huge impact on the uh, the quest
The story.
itself. So we're gonna have the chief postman. We're gonna have as a level designer, I call him the bus guy because my creativity is limitless. So the bus guy, and then we have the grumpy pap. But if I go in here, we're gonna have Gary for the bus guy, and we're gonna have Mr. Cripple um, as the grumpy paps. So yeah, the whole point is to integrate this whole story and to make sure that it's all well intricate into the gameplay of my map, which is in the first place, it's going to be reaching the post office, talking to her. Oh, there you are. Good, seem punctual. So now I do have my proper narrative inside of it. And then first day, MMS, etc., etc. Those are not filled in yet, so it's completely normal. And then I'm starting my quest. And all the rest is part of the stuff that I talked to you about before in previous workshop, which is different message that are sending at the right time with different states. Like right now, I can't go through because I need to help Gary, if I remember his name. That will lead to another quest. All those quests needs to be reviewed by narrative design or even sometimes proposed by level design and try and see what are the possibilities. Getting the tired, so now we have a collectible. I'm going a bit fast on it, but it's just that I know some of those stuff I talked about already. So for some of you, I know that you are or you know how to do that already. Now that he's happy with that, I can go there. I'll be able to take the letter, and it will bring us to something else, which is I bring the letter. And now we are moving to the Grumpy Paps, and keep in mind that the narrative approach can be also very interesting in terms of gameplay. Simply because here the whole point was trying and have a huge dialogue. So here obviously you're gonna really need the help of a narrative designer and have a huge dialogue and try to convince the grumpy paps to actually take the package that you have for him. That's the whole thing. So behind it, you're gonna, as a level designer, you're gonna try and think about the logic, how to do that properly, make sure that I remember everything. So here what I've done is keeping my states. As you can see, here is my poles. And then within my second state, which is the moment where I have all the gameplay around the narrative aspect, I break those down into different plates, and this represents the how to call that, like the dialogue tree that will go and surround the whole thing. So here you really want to have a good narrative pipeline here made by John Romaric in order to make sure that you understand what you're doing and you are not lost in everything that you are doing, because you can get lost very easily. So please be careful with that. Shall we talk about real quick? No, we talk about the flavor around with the random NPC. Is there anything you feel like we should add up to that?
I have just some advice to provide. It's very important to bring a story or a context to even the simplest experiences, because like that the player is inside a world, inside something alive, and not just a game. Sometimes we have this kind of feeling, okay, it's a game, I'm not in a universe, and so I'm a little bit not worried because it's not the case, but you not emerge inside the the experience. So keep that in mind and pay attention to the length of your dialogues. It's really important too, because on one hand, we have a limited number of characters inside the dialog box, and then a lot of players don't read if it's too long. So feel free to cut your dialogues in half, in three, whatever, just to keep one line or two line of dialogues, a small line. Can you show the spreadsheet, please?
Yeah, of course. I don't know where it is, but yeah, I can do that.
You close
There.
it.
There
Oh
it is.
no.
I found it.
Okay, as you can see, I keep it short as possible, because because I want player to read that because it's really funny, and I don't want to the player losing something as important information or something like that. You also have some highlight tag we can use inside dialogues to put text in colors, yellow, red, etc. So I think we will be able to share these documents, this one, and you have the guidelines and formatting tab inside that with good practice about the lens, tag, etc. To help you to create strong dialogues.
This is definitely something you want to keep on the side, that's for sure.
Yes, because it's often we have this kind of question, okay, how many characters we have inside the dialog box? And in an answer, it's very important to keep it really short. Can you go to the sample experience template tab, please? Go and asker.
Which one do you want?
Answer. The current answer. Okay, you can see it's really short. It's not necessary to have 10 lines of answer, except if you are in RPG, you can have longer answers, but it will maybe break the UI. So be careful with that.
Yeah. Exactly. All right.
So it's a really a teamwork between level designers and art designers, because we don't have really the same approach, but we can exchange about all of that, and its iteration loop is really great to create a cool experience based on narration, but with back and forth with all the stakeholders inside the team.
And talking about that, I wanted to add the aspect that today we focused our vision around level design and narrative design, but keep in mind that it's pretty much the same with all aspects of the production. So you have the game designers, they're going to give you the, well, usually it's going to be either the creative pitch or the gameplay ingredients that you are going to be able to use as a level designer. But there is also the art. Art is level artist, creation of assets. There is sound design as well. Is it music? Is it pure sound design, as in, I don't know, quest validation or this kind of thing? And the process of iteration is basically the same, almost the same. So it's I think the most important thing that you need to remember is that making a game or an experience is all about communication. You can't make only your thing on your side. It's not possible. You have to make sure you have to work around the project and not just around yourself and your little sound, your little block, your little story. It's not working that way. So it's very important. Today we focused on the narrative and level design like pipeline, but it's the same with each individual aspect of the production. So yeah, that's pretty much the idea. In terms of timing, we are pretty good. It's nice. We can try and move forward on the Q&A slowly but surely. Unless Jean-Romaric, you have something you'd like to add to all of that?
Not for the moment, but yeah, don't hesitate if you have any question.
Cool.
At the moment.
Okay. So I'm gonna try and look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can speak about. Yeah, you can see it's a dialogue sheet, but we can walk around characters. It's another part of the narrative design because narrative design is around world building, and world building is create a place with people, and it's really important when you create an experience to imagine a background around your NPCs, because like that we will be able to create stories. For example, we had this grumpy Paps, Mr. Cripple. It's really simple, but he has a story behind him. So think about that. If you have your asset, okay, you can keep it. Take this asset and say, okay, who are you inside my experience? Can I imagine a background inside the story where you are, and what is your relation between the player and you?
Yeah, it's not only about well, it's the player, it's the character, it's the different NPCs around. So that's very important and very interesting. Yeah. I see no question in the chat at the moment. Don't hesitate if you have anything. No. Becky, anything you'd like to add on your side? Is your microphone working?
Yes.
All right, cool.
No, just listening. This is a great one, and it ties in so well with previous workshops that we've done. It's flowing so nicely. But yeah, I just wanted to mention we have a Q&A session, general Q&A next week. And we are still working on what we're going to do for the next workshop. We're still finalizing the plans for that, but we'll get the invite out for that as soon as we have all that information. So other than that, oh, we have a question. Enrico says, sorry for the question. Oh, which you shouldn't apologize for asking a question. That's what it's here for. I wanted to know if there is some way to put a link in the dialogue that leads back to a site.
So right now it's not possible to have a proper hyperlink that will bring you to a website. The only way, but it's not really a thing, and it's not working really well, would be to go through. Yeah, I'm gonna answer no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna answer
okay,
no.
I have a trick for that. We had an experience. The generic post, yeah, that's a QR code. Yeah, someone answered a QR code with an image, a picture inside your experience,
Yeah.
and like that you will be able to have a lead back to a site. But we can do that for the moment inside the dialog box, and I use something like that inside the lobby, but it's just an incentive, a robot saying, okay, if you want more something, if you want to know more about something, go to this website, and you just put the name of the brand, for example.
Yeah, right now, yeah.
So I've done another workaround from that too. I like how South China Morning Post did that for their alpha experience, but I think like the QR codes are great because you can pull them up on another device. But if you're trying to pull it up on the same device, like a workaround that I have found is you can create an asset, or you can create an NFT for free on OpenSea, and you can connect a link to that. And so sometimes I'll show an image, and I can even show a video from there. Now we're working on additional features, and being able to put a link is something that I've actually asked about, because I see a lot of partners who have an app, for example, that might go really well with their experience and want to use those together. or they just want to connect people to their spaces, their resources that they already have. And so, we are, talking about it in the background, but, creating an NFT not to sell, but just as an educational piece that could show a video and have a link to something interactive is something that I've kind of explored too. So you can look at that at OpenSea, and you just have to make sure that the NFT is, something you can use the display NFT feature and then connect to the marketplace with the NFT info display component, and that'll connect you. It's a little convoluted, but it works. So it's a way to, for now, with our current alpha version, to connect.
There you go.
We also have a question for communication client. Do you suggest this presentation for gameplay or just for internal use? I'm
You
not
mean
sure what that means.
Well,
the spreadsheet or the slides?
commercial. I'm not quite sure to understand. Basically, the approach of this workshop is for everyone to be able to watch it. So I'm gonna go with like more a public thing, as in it's gonna be on. It's okay. I mean, it's gonna be on YouTube, and the presentation itself and the Excel should be available to everyone as well. So there's
Yeah.
no commercial approach with that. It's just learning and teaching, basically. I hope it will answer your question.
So it takes a moment sometimes for people to think of a question and type it in. So if you need to unmute yourself, or if you'd like to ask in text, go ahead and take care of that now, since it seems like we're about to wind down. What is the first part you think of when creating the narrative? That's a good question.
Yes, but it depends of the type of experience. If we are working on our own universe, or if we use another universe, if we are working with an IP, we ask for references to on everything related to the brand to know more. If there is a universe, and if there is a universe, we want to expand that. So the first thing is to just, I think the first step is to research around the universe you will use inside your experience. And basically, it just, like I said, story, what you are doing inside your experience, what are the themes, the constraints. You can also have some game design parts, because it's everything is take together. It's not just a question of narrative, but also about gameplay, about how many time we want to have the player playing the game. So we can provide this kind of we have to provide one slide or two slides explaining the whole concept of the experience. If there is a story, the NPC inside this experience, the gameplay, type of quest, etc., etc.
I think it kind of ties into the last workshop that we did also, that was about world building, and whether it's character first or world first and that sort of thing, that helps you decide what point do you need to explain what the world is, or do you need to connect the player with who the characters are. That sort of thing might lead a little bit, I think.
Yeah, that's why we talked about the iterative aspect, and that's why it's really important to have like a basic pitch on top of all of that, because it will lead everyone. But then from every core, you will have a different vision, and every person will have a different vision about that. That's the interesting part of the creative aspect, is because you have a melting pot of such creativity, but at some point you have to settle that. So that's why you're talking with other people around you, because you have to ground some true base to start somewhere, which is honestly a very exciting part of making games in general.
I
So
forgot
Veronica,
something.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I forgot something about dialogue. Can you just reshare 2 seconds the spreadsheet, please? Because I think it's important to know that. Can you go to the asker to? Yeah, you have some status about dialogue. So, for example, we have mainly 4 status. Before the quest, what is the dialogue before the interaction between the player and the NPC? For example, if you see quest 3, flat tires, Gary, if you are in quest 1 or 2, Gary says something not related with the quest 3, but something general, like, oh, damn, because he's stuck and his bus is not working. So that's one step. And after that, when the quest 2 is finished, the Gary has another dialogue, which is the dialogue for the quest 3. I know my track is blocking, etc. Like that, you can launch the quest. And when the player is doing the quest, you have a during quest dialogue. For example, you see no tire, no passage. You can go at the other area. And after that, after the completion of the quest, you have a new step. For example, you see Gary say, thanks again for your help. And it's very important to feel each step because it's important for your story to have this kind of dialogue displayed. Like that, you will be able to play the context and to grant the player with some cool dialogues like, okay, oh, you helped me, it's awesome, I love you, for example.
Yeah, just to back what you're saying, that's what I called earlier the state.
Yeah.
So here you have the 3 states. So the first one is sorry. So once again, it's not filled yet with John Romerick words, but here it should be them. So I should put them here and say basically he's busy right now. You can't do anything. Then this state will be when he wants to start the quest with him being helped by you for the tires. And then you have the final state. So here it represents the before, during, after. So yeah, that's the idea. And yes, a very good point, Jean-Marc, to bring that up again.
So I see a question in the chat. When will the map be active and will it be possible to go inside our land to form the map from the map? Every land is just a place. It's an NFT to publish your experience to connect it to. But you can create, for example, right now, 10 experiences that you're going to publish to your land over time. And all you're doing is saying, I want to publish to this land, and then you change that when you're ready to move on to the next one. So you're able to form your land right now by creating the experience that you're going to connect to it. So they're not, the land is not actually a physical thing that you have to wait for. So start creating now. I hope that answered the question, Veronica.
Sorry, I mean, if I need to present a gameplay to a group of commercial clients, do you suggest we use that process? Mood board, draft maps, and Excel for the story and oh, okay. So, in that case, I'm not sure because it would really depends on at which state is your production. So if you are in pre-production, it means you have no experience and no game at the moment. So basically what you can show would be an overall of mood boards and maybe concept art, idea of gameplay, inspiration, all this kind of stuff. Definitely something you can show to a commercial, no worries. But if you have like a prototype or this kind of thing, might be something you would prefer to showcase, in my opinion, because this is This is the whole point of it, you know. It's try to have something that is sexy in a way to showcase. But this could be an approach. Yes. I don't see why it would not work, honestly. Maybe it would be too much details on the process itself, but the whole mood board aspect and of the pre-production, I mean, it's how you bring the vision to the table. So if you want to bring the vision to the table of commercials, that's one way to do it for sure.
Yeah, I think as visual as possible to appeal to someone if you're trying to propose an idea is a great idea. So mood boards and probably something interactive that just shows maybe how a quest would work in this idea that you have might be good.
Yeah, depending on the company you are in, it's either called prototype, sometimes first playable. You can even have something even more advanced, which is called a vertical slice, which is basically it's like a cake. You cut the cake and you have like all the layers that is working. So you're gonna work on something very specific in the, let's say, in the middle of the game where you have that would represent a whole part of your game, and it's something that you can showcase. But this is more advanced because here I'm more talking about, for instance, if you have like a sprint that you have to showcase to a publisher or anything to make sure that they're going to give you money. You want to make a vertical slice and they check it out and they're like, all right, we can see you've made something that is good. We're gonna continue to give you money so you can continue on the project. But you know, I went a bit far into the explanation, but at least you have like a good range of it.
So Veronica is saying at the moment the problem with the experience is that it will be lost in the draft gallery. If you share it to the gallery, then yes, it can get lost because we don't have a search feature yet. Game Dizzy has a search feature that is just basically a spreadsheet that you can use for now. But our community has been trying to figure out ways to make it easier, especially since we've had more and more game jam entries that make that gallery very full. But the issue of it getting lost in the draft gallery, I think a newer version of Game Maker should be helping to resolve that. Is that the case? I know that they've been working on a search feature for it, so that should not be a long-standing issue. And then the question was, when will experiences be able to be published on land? I think that we informed landowners that that we're going to be, opening some publishing later this year. But it's really, we don't have dates on things until we make sure the technology is there. It's gone through QA. Everything's working great for the, automated use of these kinds of new features, not just manual. So for now, with our alpha seasons, it's, someone approaches us and says, I have an idea. We host it on the Sandbox land, in those alpha seasons. And, you can still use that. You can still use that gallery to share things if you want to have people engaged now. But I think it's also a really great strategy to plan experiences that you're going to release in seasons on your land once that option is available. There's lots of time right now to build that multiple experiences that you'll use on one land. That's my thinking.
All right. I see on my recording software we are getting around 1 hour, which is perfect. We are perfectly in time. Is there any last question? Anyone? Let's give it some time. In the meantime, thank you, Becky, and thank you, Jean-Maric, for this workshop. It was nice working with you, Jean, on that. We had fun, honestly. Cool. It was cool.
You both did great, and I appreciated that you built something that could be shown and like showing all of the sides of it, like the planning with the spreadsheet and having, you know, places where you could explore and show examples of dialogue states and things. It was great. Thanks for the effort you put into it. I appreciate it.
Well, to be honest,
welcome.
it was fun to do. I like to work with Jean-Romaric as well, so no worries with that. And you know, it's just something we do. We create levels, we have fun with it, and it's always nice to present that to everyone. Hope it's gonna be useful for each and every one of you. But yeah, thank you.